There was one fundamental assumption that underpinned the entire episode you just listened to. The fundamental assumption was that we are coming upon the end of a unipolar world with the United States as the center of geopolitical gravity. And that change, whatever comes next, will happen relatively soon. Perhaps it's still years, maybe a decade or more away. And so what we discussed was what comes next. Is there another singular geopolitical force in the world that will simply take the baton? Or do we transition to a world with many different centers of gravity in different dimensions? And we also discussed whether that can be done peacefully over these next many years, or if it will be done through violence and warfare. But I think it's important in a program like this that we challenge assumptions. And so I don't have enough of an expert view to really offer a definitive perspective that is anywhere near on par with the expertise of Professor Kupchan and the perspective that he shared with you all. But what I can do is to help challenge your thinking even further. So let's challenge the assumption as you think about and digest the episode you just listened to. Number one, what if the end of the American dominance and empire is not upon us? What if there's another 100 years to go? And what if the handoff we're talking about doesn't happen for another many decades? How does that change the potential answer to the questions about whether it will be done peacefully or not, and whether it will be a singular power in the future or many? The other extreme to challenge the underlying assumption is, what if it happens suddenly? What if the United States careens out of control and breaks apart, much like the Soviet Union did in its final days? What does that mean for the world and how the transition would take place and what it would look like? So I don't feel qualified to say whether I think any of those things will happen, but I am qualified to ask the questions, and I will continue to ask those of great guests that we bring on this program. So I ask you to go back and listen to this episode, and by just changing the underlying assumption, how would your answers differ? How would the answers of smart people in your life differ? The same questions would still be true. Do we think we can transition peacefully? Do we think it would be a transition to a singular force in the future or many forces? And how does just changing the timeline change our answers? Hopefully that little extra perspective makes this episode even richer and more mentally stimulating for you. And as you bring those conversations to your circles, challenge their assumptions. Challenge your own assumptions. And if nothing else, you'll be less likely to be surprised with whatever comes next.